Hello, hello. Happy Money May, or depending on when you're listening to this, it might be May in a couple of days. I decided to kick off Money May a little early since this is a weird week and May doesn't start until midweek. So we're doing it now, okay? Last month in April, our focus was on all things abundance. And this week, we're kicking off a brand new theme for a brand new month, hence the Money May title. So I've got a full list of topics that we are covering this month that range from money hacks to creating portals of cash and a lot of juicy topics in between. But today our topic is all around money blocks. I'm calling money C blocks. C, I'm not going to say the word because I'm a lady, but C that rhymes with clock. Money C blocks. You know what I'm trying to say. So this is going to be a good one. Let's get started. Welcome to All In with Allie, the podcast for online business owners and entrepreneurs who are ready to create the life and business of their dreams. I am so happy you are here. As I record this, it's been a really good week because yesterday I wrapped up my latest masterclass. I have not done a masterclass in a minute. And I did one, like I said, wrapped it up. It was a 3-day masterclass. We wrapped it up yesterday and it was called the 10K Gateway. And I'm majorly celebrating because I knew that it was going to be good. Like anything that I create and decide to put out into the world, I'm confident about and I assume it's going to be good. But something about this masterclass was magical. What came through, the energy in there, just me. And I was really proud of my energy and how I delivered it and the things that I covered. I really feel like it made a difference. I really feel like if you were in that masterclass or you get in that masterclass, which we'll link it, if you want instant access, you can get instant access to all 3 days. Get in there. Like if it's piquing your interest, please get in there. It'll be some of the best money you ever spend. Obviously, the title is 10K Gateway, and it's meant for people who want to nail, consistent 10K months. But in all actuality, all of the content, you can input any number there. So if you're if you're at a revenue number, if you feel like you're plateaued and you're wanting to hit that next level and something isn't shifting for you, this masterclass will shift it for you. So anyway, like I said, we'll link it. You can get instant access. It is incredible. But we wrapped that up yesterday. Today, I've got a few things on my list. And then tomorrow I am heading to Puerto Rico. I'm going to Puerto Rico for one of my besties' bachelorette parties. And I've never been to Puerto Rico before. I have not been out of the country, even though I realize Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, but you know what I mean, physically out of the country since 2022 when I went to the BVIs. So I'm really excited about that and just getting in some sunshine and around some really good girlfriends. So I'm happy today and I'm excited to talk about money and to kick off the money conversation because this is important stuff. Obviously, if you are growing a business and you want to grow any kind of impact, empire, career, no matter whether it's online or otherwise, we need to know how to make money. So this month is going to serve you really well. And I'm fired up. I love talking about money. I feel like each year that goes on, the more comfortable we are with these conversations and the more receptive we are to these conversations, which means how all of us are shifting and evolving to be matches for more money. Because when we stop making money mean something bad or dirty or a secret, then we get to shine light on it. We get to study it more. And if we have the desire to create more, we get to do that. So let's start that today. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to talk about 3 ways that you, me, we all do this, how we block ourselves from creating and attracting more money. These are 3 really big common ways. And this is important. And like I said, I've got a full list of topics that I want to cover this month, and I'll read you my working list. I'm not married to this yet, so I might shift it a little bit. But what I'm thinking for the rest of the month is we're going to talk about the energy of money and just being a match for more money. And we'll go into that conversation. We'll talk about how to create and appropriately create portals of money to hit specific revenue goals and how to overshoot specific revenue goals and money overflow. We're going to talk about money hacks. And then also working through money blocks. So I thought today would be appropriate to kick off the month with money blocks, because awareness is everything, right? If you can take every money program, work with every money coach, listen to every money podcast, but if you are unaware of the subconscious, unconscious program that you are running, that is actively creating the reality that you have now, and that reality isn't creating what you want, then we have to be aware of the thoughts that you're thinking, of what this program is, where it comes from, and most importantly, how to shift this program and change this program, or better said, how to update the program so that your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions are aligned with the creation of more of what you want, which includes, of course, more money. So this is where it all starts. And then next week, I think we'll talk about how to further work through these and shift them quickly. But today it's all about awareness. So when I think about what I've worked through, and my God, if you only knew, I've shared my story on here before, but we never had money growing up. This was always a pain point in my family, my whole life, really, throughout my 20s. I've always had a job to work through this and to create more money myself. And this is something that it's been a constant process for me because I had some serious old conditioning and blocks and old programs from, my childhood that I needed to upgrade. And it is a process. And some things we can shift really fast, and other things, it takes practice, it takes repetition. And it starts with understanding and paying attention to, oh, wait, why am I thinking that? Why is that my stance on this certain thing? Why do I keep repeating this in my head? Because when you can pay attention to that, then you can catch it, which means that you're going to take a different action. You're going to feel differently. Thus, you're going to create a different result. So again, these are 3 areas that as I've worked through this myself, and I continue to help other women work through their own money blocks, these are the 3 big ways and most common ways that we all block ourselves from creating and attracting more money. Starting with the first, which is being stuck in what was, being overly consumed and overly concerned and still running and operating based on what was. So what this looks like is you came from a family with very little money. So you're still carrying the energy and the story that you will never have money. And that's just, you that's just who you are. That's just your bloodline or whatever. Or maybe you have never made money in your business before. For some reason, it just hasn't clicked yet. Whatever the thing is, and that could be a lot of things, but the money piece simply hasn't clicked yet. So because of that, because of your past results, you're carrying it into the present, and you are letting your past situation affect how you think about the present and what you pursue to create in the future. This is a really, really big area for a lot of people because the past, it's a big deal, right? It molds us into who we are. For a lot of us, it can be very loud, especially if you have some form of trauma. But, and at the risk of sounding too cliche, the past it's gone, right? It's old news. And furthermore, when we think about the co-creative process, whether you want to call it co-creation, manifesting, walking in faith and creating in faith, whatever feels good for you to call it. When you consider what is here right now, like your current results right now, today, it is based on old beliefs, old programming, old actions. And we've talked about this in April. I can't remember exactly what episode, but we talked about this, where it's like, thank God we don't instantly manifest, because some things that would be really cool, other things that would be an absolute nightmare. If you just start to pay attention to the awful things that you let run through your mind, or the things that you let seep into your brain and your mind and your subconscious, that would not be a good time. So there's always a void. There's always a lag time. So again, everything that you have created up until now is based on past thought, past action, past belief, past conditioning. So where so many people get tripped up with this is they say, yeah, I want to let the past go, but my current reality still looks like this. I still don't have the money that I want in the bank. I'm still quote unquote broke. I'm still struggling. I'm still whatever. So how am I supposed to believe in something more when this is my experience? And my favorite thing to say here that I've said many times, it's like, well, it depends on what you think comes first, the chicken or the egg. What do you think comes first, the belief or the results? So by you thinking that, and by you saying that and being stuck in what was, you're essentially saying, when I see it, I'll believe it. But the problem with that is, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're just going to keep creating a very similar version to what you're experiencing now. So if for you to believe in something more means that you need to see something more, it's going to be a really, really long time, if ever, that you see anything significantly different than what you're experiencing now. You've got to get out of the mud of what was. It's like quicksand. And not only that, it is an illusion. It's an elusive quicksand. It's not real. It's gone. Literally gone. The future isn't real. The past isn't real. All we have is right now. So the only thing that you can do to change what you create in the future is to change what you do and how you feel and how you believe and the things that you are doing and vibing in the present moment. You've got to get out of what was. It doesn't matter. And that's really, really good news. Really good news. It doesn't matter if you were a millionaire in the past. I mean, it helps, like having a good relationship to money or good results in money. It's good, because then you have that belief of like, I've done it once, I can do it again. It still doesn't matter. You still have to respond in a way in the present to continue to create that. But it also doesn't matter if you've never done it before, or if you messed up before, or if you went bankrupt before, or you have a certain level of debt. It doesn't matter. You could, with the correct belief, thought, action, and frequency, make a move that changes and changes everything about your past results, gets you out of debt, gets you out of bankruptcy, shifts, like that could shift the whole trajectory of your life with the changing of those things and how you're feeling. And this month, we're going to go all deep into all of that. So definitely stay tuned. But if you notice that when you go to create something in the present, you start getting stuck and you start overthinking, because you're like, well, I don't want to do that price point because I've done a similar price point in the past, or I tried even a lower price point in the past and it didn't work. So why would I do that now? Well, because the past doesn't matter. Like, is that what makes sense for right now? Because if that's what makes sense for right now and it's alignment with what you want to create, then that's what you need to do right now. So you hear a lot of people say that. You hear a lot of people say, well, I want to continue pursuing my vision and my goals, but nobody's signing up to work with me. Nobody's commenting on my stuff and nobody's bought yet, or people aren't buying at the level. And it's like, well, they weren't, but they could. And the crazy thing about it is we don't realize how like the role that we play in creating these self-fulfilling prophecies, where we're like, well, nobody's bought before. So why would I continue to put myself out there? So then, because we're not putting ourselves out there, people continue not to buy. So we get the same result either way. And then we get upset, like, see, I didn't have what it takes. And it's like, no, you don't know if you had what it takes because you didn't try. You didn't put yourself out there, which is why you didn't get the result. It has nothing to do with your worthiness. It has nothing to do about your skill. It has nothing. It's because you based what your potential experience was going to be based on a past result. That means nothing. That's why you're still here. Okay. So being stuck in what was is and old news is one of the most common ways and insidious ways that will affect all of us, even at different levels. Like you're going to work through this at one level and then it's going to come back up again. But good news is now you're aware of it. So you're going to catch it so much faster. But it's one of the most common ways that block us from creating and attracting more money. The second way, affirming what you don't want consistently, whether that be on a subconscious deep belief level that you don't even realize, or literally saying out loud and affirming things that you do not want. This is a major way that we continue to block ourselves from creating more money. So saying things like, it's too expensive. I can't. That's too much money. Oh, I would never have that. I'll never be able to afford that. Money is evil. Money is bad. Rich people are selfish. Rich people are greedy. Here's a big one that also falls into this category. Feeling guilty about making money. This used to be a big one that plagued me for a really long time because, like I said, my family, for the most part, my immediate family, we didn't have much. So when I started making money, that was the most money any of us had ever seen multiplied. And I was doing really, really, really well. And I had very close family members that weren't. And I helped as much as I could. I did a ton to help and I still do. But I still felt this deep guilt that, like, gosh, I'm making all this money and my mom still lives, where she was living at the time before she passed, or, one of my siblings is struggling with this or whatever. And I just felt this very like savior complex because I was simply making more money. And I felt the guilt for sure, but also the responsibility to fix everybody else's money issues when those aren't my issues to fix, right? Like one of the most rewarding things that we can do for ourselves is to work through these things and to want to work through them. And number two, go through the journey of working through these things and growing ourselves. We can't do that for other people. And something that really helped me here, if you're resonating with this, is by me adopting this like weird savior complex and feeling like I need to always be the one to pay the bill and always be the one to, not that I can't be generous. I'm very generous and I love being generous. But again, like there's a difference between being generous and being the one that like feels like you need to fix everything and feeling the responsibility to pay certain things just because you can, and to like save people and get them out of funky situations that they put themselves in. And what I realized was one of the greatest gifts that you can give to somebody is to let them navigate that situation on their own. And when I realized that, I was like, wow, that's so true for me. Because for me, and I know a lot of you can probably resonate with this, but like when I turned 18 and I moved out of the house, I had nothing to fall back on. There was a period of time I lived with my dad while I was working. And then I had to move out because it just wasn't working anymore. And when I moved out, I was totally and completely on my own. I was a full-time student. I was working. I had never had an apartment in my life. I had never been on my own in that way. And I've always paid my own bills, but like that was the first time I had nothing to fall back on. And there were no options, right? There was no like, if I got into a bind, I couldn't call dad. I couldn't call mom. Like there was nobody to bail me out. And because of that, I was a hustler and I figured it out. And I learned very quickly how to rely on myself, how to bet on myself, and how to make money and become a match for more money. And I've continued to do this. I did this all through my 30s, or I'm sorry, my 20s. And then I got married and I continue to do this in my own way. Now, Chris and I are a team and we make an amazing team. But I firmly believe what I am doing now and the money that I'm able to create and be a match for right now is because of the journeys and the things that I've walked through earlier in life. And I realized by me stepping forward and agreeing if I'm asked or trying to fix things or save people out of situations, I'm robbing them of that same opportunity, the opportunity that I didn't necessarily ask for, but that I had. So that really helped me a lot. But again, like these are the different ways. So affirming what you don't want. Notice how when you do shop around, and it's not that you have to just to be a match for more money. It's not like all of a sudden you have to all of a sudden value luxury things and not think things are expensive. You can still have a spectrum of what you would find affordable and expensive. And you can still have things that you're like, I would never spend that amount of money on it. That's fine. But there's a big difference in saying, I don't value that enough to want to spend that much money on that particular thing, to that's too expensive. Even if that's true in the moment. And you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not that you can't utter that's too expensive. It's the energy behind it. It's when you're saying that's too expensive from a vibe of I'll never have that kind of money. I'll never be the type of person who would ever be able to afford that thing. Like there's a big difference. So that's what I mean by that. Same thing with like, that's too much money, or that's just, I can't from the energy of, it's not from the energy of, I don't want to. Or maybe you literally can't right now. Maybe the money isn't here right now, but I can't, meaning I never will. One thing that I started to do, especially in the beginning, and I still do this now with things that I want, that technically I cannot afford right now, but I know one day I will, is it's like, oh, cool. I will. Eventually I will. Like not now, but soon. Like that's my stance. My dream car, the vacations that we want to take. It's like, in my mind, there is nothing that is unavailable to me. It may not be my current physical reality, but I know that it's on its way. So my stance with the things that I want is not, I can't. It's like, ooh, okay. Can't wait until I can. Big difference. And then if you have any kind of feelings on what money is in terms of if it's good or bad, or people with money, any judgment with people with money, you've got to get rid of that. Because let me tell you something, money is not good or bad. Money is a tool. Money is as good or bad as a hammer is good or bad. It's simply a tool that you use to do something with. So, and I know you've probably heard this said this way before, but I can't think of a better way to say it. It's like, if you are a bad person and you have a hammer, you might do a bad thing with that hammer. Same thing with money. But if you're a good person with a hammer or a good person with money, you're probably going to do good things with that tool. And that's the thing. That's what we need to look at. So if you have these negative connotations and these judgments on what money is, and certain amounts of money all of a sudden aren't appropriate or aren't good or are greedy, then you are forever keeping yourself from, obviously, that level, but also more in general. It's just like, because your whole vibe just with money in general is off. It's inaccurate. So it's going to be really hard for you to continue to attract it if in your soul, if in your subconscious, there's a level that you feel is bad. You'll just avoid it. So that's going to continue to block you. And then the third way that we very commonly block ourselves from creating and attracting more money is by not changing our actions as it relates to money. right? It's like more of the same equals more of the same. Doing the same thing again and again, repeating a behavior again and again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So if you want to create more money, that's a goal of yours. What are you doing differently? Are you just running the same program and taking pretty much the same actions, but praying to God for a different result? Praying is helpful, but what prayer looks like is faith in action. God wants you to be very wealthy, but also God gave you free will. So you get to tell God what you want. And by you doing the same thing and thinking the same thoughts and running the same program and having the same old outdated beliefs, that's essentially saying, God, I'm good right where I am. I know like out loud I say differently, but in my heart, I don't like money. I don't believe in money. I don't believe that I'll ever have money. So that's why my actions are what they are. And God's like, okay, if that's what you want. It doesn't have to be that way, but I gave you free will. So here we are. So not changing your actions, it's pretty obvious. But I know for me, there have been plenty of times where I feel like I'm stuck. I feel like I'm at a plateau and I reflect on, okay, well, what am I really doing differently? Am I really doing anything with my money in a way that would foster and attract more of it? Or again, am I just running the same program and doing the same things that I've done in the past that have created this reality? Remember, your current reality is based on past actions, past beliefs, past thoughts. So more of the same equals more of the same. So a really good question to ask yourself, if you're curious, if this is what you're dealing with, or if you need to change your actions, is if you were earning the amount of money that you really wanted, what would you do differently? Or, because I know what you're thinking, well, if I had that amount of money, then I would be this and I would be that and I would invest in that thing and I would do all these things, but I can't. And that's why I'm stuck. Okay, here's a different way to ask it. If you knew that that money was on its way and you were going to earn that money, what would you do differently? If you knew that it was a done deal. And when we consider our actions, obviously, sometimes being a match for more money and making moves in general, some of that is going to include spending money and investing money for sure. But where I know a lot of people get tripped up is that then becomes their crutch, that then becomes their excuse, because they're like, well, I don't have the money, so I can't take the action. So here I am, and I'm bound and destined to be here forever because of that thing. But that's not true at all, because the action, that particular action related to spending money is actually a fraction of the actions that you would be taking if the money was there. If the money was there, you would still be who you are today. You would still do most of the things that you do today. Maybe your job would look different, but you would still interact with your family, I would assume. You would still take care of yourself. You'd still get out of bed every day, maybe move your body every day, right? There are things that you would do just as a human that you would still continue to do. But I would bet if the money was in the bank or if it's on its way, how you would feel about those actions each day would feel differently. And probably some of those actions would be different too. I'll tell you, like, and just to give a really small example here, but it's small, but it was profound. I think so anyway, because what I've noticed when it comes to these conversations, oftentimes we trick ourselves into thinking if we want really big results and we want to create something that's very far from the reality that we're creating right now, we often make that mean that the actions required to get us there have to be equally as big, that we have to take these huge, incredible, bold moves to make bold changes in our lives. And again, sometimes that is the case. Sometimes you will be called to take a leap and you'll know, and you can trust your gut, and you don't even have to leap if you want to, but sometimes you will be called to take a leap. But what I have found is how you would do one thing in your current reality versus how you would do it in another reality, the same action, there is a very small gap in how you would do it. And that small gap, when you can be mindful of it and bridge it consistently, it is these micro shifts that make, I think, an even bigger difference in what we create. So let me give you an example. I am currently manifesting my dream car. I will have a blacked out Porsche Cayenne at some point very soon. I already know what the interior looks like. I want the emblem on the seats. I want either tan seats or like a white color. I don't even think Porsche does white color, but tan works too. The panorama roof, I want like a little bit darker rims. I want the windows tinted, black on black. Oof. I'm like, I dream of this car and I'm so excited and I know I will have this car. Okay. And I have pictured and fallen asleep and visualized more times than I can count me going to the Porsche dealership and paying cash for this vehicle and driving away with it. And one night I was picturing just driving around town and doing my day-to-day tasks like I do now, but in my Porsche. Okay. Because like I said, when the money's there will be big, bold moves. There will be big differences, right? Like I will be driving the Porsche versus the Lexus. And I love my Lexus. Okay. And actually I have a point there regarding the Lexus, because what I noticed, and again, let me finish what I was saying. Yeah, there are going to be these big differences, but also there's going to be a lot of the same things, right? Like I'll still drive to the gym to go work out. I'll still drive to the store to get groceries and to run errands and to do what I need to do. There's a lot of day-to-day things that will be the same. It's just, I will have a different level of money, a different level of wealth. And one thing that I noticed, this was fascinating, was in this visualization where I was picturing me driving around town in my Porsche. One thing that I noticed was like I was getting out of the car and I was going to get something in the console, and the middle console was super organized. And obviously like the car was spotless because it was new, but like the middle console was really organized. And I don't know if you see these TikTok videos, but I got on like this weird TikTok algorithm where it was all people like organizing their refrigerators and cars and stuff. And I follow this one girl, I think her name is Keely, and she drives a Range Rover, and she does these videos in her car all the time, but she like has this whole, like her whole console is super organized, and she has like this little case that opens up, and in it she's got hand sanitizer and mints and hair ties and band-aids and like whatever you might need in a car. And I was like, ooh, and in my visualization I had done that too. And I noticed like I had like stopped and I got in the middle console to get like a little mint, and then I was like beep bopping around town. And I was like, that is so interesting, because obviously I have a car now. It's a great car. I've had it for years. It is a little older, but the girls paid for. We love that. And I deeply appreciate my vehicle. However, the way I take care of that car, or was taking care of it, was night and day different than how I was taking care of the Porsche. The way that I felt driving that car and when I'm running errands in the Lexus feels very different than how I feel and felt in the visualization in the Porsche. It was a different vibe. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, because you're driving a Porsche. And I would somewhat agree with you. However, that's the secret. The secret is how you feel with the thing, or how you think you'll feel with the thing, is available to you immediately. Right this second, you can feel like that. And it got me asking myself, like, why don't I organize my Lexus? Like what? And my middle console, like at the time, my middle console was a disaster. It was disgusting. I mean, it had like wrappers in it and old, napkins, disintegrating napkins and receipts and old, makeup stuff. And it was just like, I mean, I hadn't gone through it in years. And how I was taking care or not taking care of my car made me feel very different, right? Like when you're driving around something that you're not taking care of, you're going to feel some type of way about it. So anyway, I realized there was this very small gap. I was like, what would it look like for me to take care of my current car, what I am so grateful for right now, and appreciate it and honor it in the same way that I think I would the new thing? What would that look like? So what I did was I got on Amazon and I ordered the little case for the console and some wipes to wipe down my stuff. And I detailed my own car. I can't tell you, like, it had been months since I had even washed it. And how I felt driving around the same car that I've had for years now, after I did that, was night and day different. I felt like I was driving a Porsche. Not quite, but it definitely felt different. It was a totally different vibe. So that's a very small gap, right? And I was just like, and I fully believe that the vibe you put out, the energy you put out, the frequency that you continuously put out into the world and vibe at, that is what you're going to attract to you. So if I'm wanting to attract a new car, I'm going to appreciate the one that I have now, and I'm going to drive this car like I would and appreciate this car like I would the Porsche. Because now I'm becoming a match for a woman who owns a Porsche in one way. So we can do this in all areas. So what I would recommend is, instead of I'll believe it when I see it, switching that to I'll see it when I believe it. How can I see it now? How can I feel the feelings now? What would that look like? Do that for all areas. What small, and these are going to be, again, there might be some leaps that you're like, you know what, I would, and I've done it, and I've shared my leaps. In the last episode, I shared some really big leaps that I took in life and love and health that led to big shifts for sure. But a lot of these things, again, you're the same person. You're going to be doing a lot of the same things. So a hack to this, if you can't quote unquote afford yet some of the moves that you want to make, is bridge those small gaps. How can you access the feelings of that thing being there now? So if the money was there, if the money was on the way to you, how would you be feeling? How would you be moving? How would you be showing up? What are some of the actions that you would take in your business that you're already taking now, but you would just do even so slightly differently? It is these, I'm certain it's these small shifts that make the biggest difference. Okay. Do we love it? How are we feeling? This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is going to be a really fun series this month. And let me tell you something. If you like this, if you love money conversations, or you want to work on loving money conversations so that you continue to deepen your creative energy and attraction to more money, I invite you to join us in the Money May members only experience. So I announced this in the last episode, but I wanted to do something fun related to money in May, something that we could actually do together. And I thought about doing a class, but I think you can tell, like, it's a deep one, right? There's a lot to cover here. And I don't think a class would quite cover it. It would have to be a really long class. And I would love for this to be so much more hands-on. So what I've decided to do is create a 20-day long experience where every single day, or at least during the week, for starting May 6th until May 31st, we touch base. You're in a group with me, and you get daily prompts, activations, and riffs all around getting into the energy of creating and attracting more money. So if you did Rebel with me, it's going to be like Rebel, but on steroids. It's going to be so much better because we're not doing it. You're not getting emails. It's all going to be in a group. I mean, I think I'm going to do it on Voxer. So you'll be in a group, and just every single day, you're going to have a small, again, riff, activation, and some sort of prompt that is designed to help you build your frequency to more money. It's going to be scrumptious. It's going to be so damn good. I am so freaking excited, and you can get it for $99. So let me tell you what else you get for $99, because that is certainly not it. So I've decided to make the Money May members only experience part of my LFG membership, which is $99 a month. You can cancel anytime, so don't freak out about that. But when you join, so let's say you join today and you pay the $99, you get instant access to the classes that I've already taught in LFG. So you can go ahead and do these classes while you wait for the Money May to start, the Money May members only experience to start. These are the classes that you get instant access to: Destined, Attract, Momentum, Pulling Money from the Sky, reinvention, how to create killer content that sells, alchemize, and abundance codes. You get instant access to all of those, which are all hella complimentary to this whole conversation. So it is a hell of a deal for $99, which is why I wanted to do it as part of LFG, because again, you could join now, and while you wait for May 6th, or just as you navigate the month, you have all of these other programs to support you in the creation of more money for your life and your business and your highest level of expansion. So we will link that in the show notes. We'll also link the 10K Gateway in the show notes as well if you want instant access to that. Both are incredible. I could not recommend either more. I'm so proud of what we're doing right now, and I hope this served you. So we've got a lot of incredible conversations to come this month. So if you're not following or subscribed, please do so you don't miss out. I love y'all, and I will see you here next week when I'm back from Puerto Rico. Bye.